Gyalpo and welcome to the third season of Hello from Bhutan. I'm very excited to share that this season we're bringing you video along with the podcast. On this video, the first topic that we're featuring is something that may have built your core childhood memory as it did mine, and it's food. It may also have been our first experience of foreign food if we've grown up in Bhutan. I'm talking about Indian food at the DANTAK Wet Canteen as well as the Imtrat Canteen. We're going to start this episode by featuring on DANTAK, its history, relationship with Bhutan, and also sampling some of the delicious food at the DANTAK Wet Canteen. I'm really glad to be here and to be meeting and introducing you to the Wet Canteen officer in charge, Lieutenant Colonel Sandeep Saxena. So thank you so much for having us here
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for coming here. We are grateful by your presence here.
We're excited to be here, sir.
Yeah, sure, ma'am, sure.
So the Wet Canteen, I see, has been renovated,
yes,
right, sir? I think this has happened over the last 1 year, so it's it looks really, really nice. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the renovation?
Ma'am, this happened in the year 2021. And this was conceived by the Mrs. Sonali Joshi Kashyap, who was the previous zonal chairperson of BROA here. And it was her idea to renovate it like a road with, and so we came here
with all the signs, the milestones.
With the signs, milestones, right, the kind of furniture that we have here.
Right,
it's all iconic, and it symbolizes the road journey that we have, that the DANTAK has over the past 6 decades in Bhutan.
Right, so congratulations
thank
also,
you,
sir,
thank
on,
you.
I mean, this Diamond Jubilee, right, sir,
yes,
for DANTAK.
Yes.
So congratulations on that. Should we go inside,
ma'am, please, let's have a round of the Wet Canteen, please.
Okay, sir, thank you. So when do you see the most number of people during the day at the Wet Canteen?
Ma'am, most of the clients come here during the noon time when they have lunch, and at the time when they are going back from their offices to their home. That's the time the maximum inflow of people take place. Also, we have a huge rush coming over the weekends, especially during the noon time till the evening.
Right.
So that is the peak time that we have.
So do you have to have like, do you think your seating currently can keep everybody, or do people have to wait outside? I've seen people waiting outside the gate to sit. Does that happen regularly?
Yes, sometimes, but we generally endeavor that everyone sits out in the sitting area. However, if there's a long queue, people do generally wait outside, and in the meantime, they shop over the grocery and give their orders over the Wet Canteen.
I think one of the best things for me, I think, about the DANTAK Wet Canteen is that despite the number of years and despite the quality service that is provided, the rates have always remained affordable, right, sir? I think it's one thing is the rates, and another thing is, I think, the consistency of your food, sir. Do you think that? Do you enjoy food here at the Wet Canteen?
Absolutely, ma'am.
What's your favorite?
My favorite is the chola bhaturas here.
I have a really interesting experience to share with you, sir. I think we had just come out of lockdown, so we were finally easing restrictions in Bhutan, and I was pregnant that time. I was craving dosa, and none of our restaurants that sold Indian food were selling dosa, sir. So I was like, there's only one place, and we heard rumors that DANTAK would give us dosa. So we came and we saw that your men were cleaning. So I said, my husband, I said, I don't care, but you're coming back with the dosa. I don't know if the kitchen is open or not, but you're coming back. This was one day before they were going to be fully functional. So they were like, no, we are only commercially opening tomorrow, nothing to. My husband's like, please don't send me back empty-handed. My wife is pregnant, angry and hungry. So they were so sweet, sister. They made us fresh dosa and gave us. So I'm so grateful. I think for me, not only is it my childhood core memory, but also the fact that I think the people who are working here went out of their way to accommodate like a desperate need. So I have such good memories of DANTAK Canteen, sir.
Ma'am, in fact, many of the Bhutanese officers, the population here have a lot of pleasant memory about their food being served here during the distress. And
distress, that's the word, sir. Yes.
we have rather serving the foods during the COVID times, whenever there's a COVID lockdown and there's somebody who is in need of the food here in the city, and such cravings do occur and such insistence do occur. So we generally serve them, ma'am. And DANTAK has been traditionally a favorite joint and a favorite hotspot among the people here that way.
So Sir Saxena, tell us a little bit about the Wet Canteen. Did it start and open to the public as soon as DANTAK was instituted in Bhutan?
Ma'am, DANTAK was raised in the year 1961 at Diothan in East Bhutan. And at the same time, 19 Border Roads Task Force was here in Thimphu. So we had, as per the history that I have, the canteen was established since its raising. But however, in 1997, DANTAK moved over from Diothan to Thimphu, and the task force moved over from Thimphu to Phuentsholing. And they have their canteen operational since then. We have been serving to the people of Bhutan since the past 6 decades now.
Since before we were born, sir,
Since before we were born, yeah.
So would you know, I mean, have you had conversations with colleagues who were here before you about the reactions of Bhutanese to Indian food? I would imagine that the Dantak Wet Canteen would have been the first time that Bhutanese had ever tasted Indian food, sir. Would you know some of these reactions?
Absolutely true, ma'am. I agree with you. Dantak, the traditional meals over the Dantak Wet Canteen has been the favorite of all over the city and the country. I know people who have been here visiting for the past so many years, and every time they visit here, they come over to the Dantak Wet Canteen. Moreover, it's a very popular point and a very favorite food joint among the local here. And every time they move up and down the city, they shall surely come here. That's what has been told to me, and I'm proud to say that. To tell you, ma'am, the samosas, the jalebis, the gulab jamun, the dosas have been very popular here, and the people are liking it so much that they are sometimes pre-ordering it also for the weekends. Right. So it has been a great experience over the 2 years, ma'am.
So I think you run out of fresh food by 11 o'clock, 11:30 a.m. Is it like that, sir?
Ma'am, though we endeavor to continue the meals till 5 o'clock in the evening, but the hot selling items generally run out. So we generally do it we generally prepare them in a large quantity. However, in case we try to endeavor to make them by 4:30 or by 5, the entire stuff finishes out.
I see, sir. So how early do you have to start cooking in the kitchen to be able to serve? Because you were waiting for us to arrive, and I think by 10 o'clock people were like, why is your canteen not opening today, right? So I didn't know that you had customers from so early in the morning. So
yeah, absolutely.
When does work start in the kitchen to serve everybody who comes in?
Ma'am, the basic preparation about the entire setup goes a day prior, and in the evening before we close down this canteen, we do the preparation for the next day. However, the canteen also opens up 2 hours before the people start arriving here, and then they make the entire food setup ready and to deliver it to the clients that come.
Congratulations, you've remained a favorite over the years, decades. I mean, you've had so many cafes, restaurants open up in Bhutan, but I think you all have kept all the Bhutanese here still.
Yeah,
thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you indeed.
When I see me, very important to be done. Achieve the service to knowledge to what in such a zoning, actually in such a
Now the Kachisamola.
Ana chola do ane chatumi
Shimegala.
shime.
Kuzampula, ma'am. I'm Captain Pratik, and I will be briefing you on the Indo-Bhutan Friendship Museum here that we have made in Simthoka headquarters, Dantak, ma'am. So I would start the briefing with a quote, ma'am. History is a compass which navigates us into the present and then to the future. So on that concept, I would start briefing on the Indo-Bhutan Friendship Museum.
Very nice.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Actually, the Project DANTAK comes under Border Road Organization, which is a much larger organization in India. We are sub part of it, one of the project of that. So first we will be briefing you on the border road organizations. Then there are some boards which explains what the history of Dantak, what we have done in Bhutan. And then there are some equipments on display, ma'am, which is our traditional equipments. Those were used for construction activities in Bhutan. Those equipments which are displayed here, ma'am, at some point of time, they were being used in construction, making of roads and everything. And now they are not functional. Now we have put it in museum to showcase that, you know, we have been here for decades here, right, working for the country, ma'am.
Right.
After the independence of India, ma'am, at the end of 1950s, that decade, ma'am, it was visioned that the border connectivity was not there, and the towns which are in borders, they were not developed. So Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, then Prime Minister of India, thought that we must have an organization which will look after the needs of border roads development, and they can assist in military also, because, you know, some tensions were going on, and, you know, that vision was there of the Prime Minister. So in 1960, ma'am, BRO, that Border Road Organization, was developed, man. It was, the stone was put, it was in Delhi, ma'am, the headquarters was in Delhi. So some projects were there. Initially, it started with 2 of the projects, one in northern part called Bacon, and in one in the eastern part called Vartak. They are the two oldest projects that were started in 1960, ma'am. As of now, ma'am, BRO has 18 projects. Dantak is one of the projects, ma'am, which is in Bhutan, ma'am.
Ah, I see.
And just to highlight, ma'am, as of now, ma'am, this is the data of last year. Border roads have made around 61,000 kilometers of road.
Wow.
And around, I would say somewhere around 900 bigger bridges, ma'am, which spans around 60-62 kilometers of the bridge length.
I see.
Which is, you know, 62 kilometers of bridge.
Yes, it's a lot.
If you would see, it's a lot, ma'am. Which border roads
So this is like halfway to Finsling from Timpo.
Exactly.
Right?
that much of bridge, ma'am.
Yes.
This is again the new technologies, ma'am, and I would just highlight this particular picture in Bhutan. Use of new technology in Bhutan.
Oh.
These are the geocell, ma'am.
I see.
Being used in eastern part of the Bhutan, ma'am.
Oh.
The already prefabricated such cells come. You just fill it, and it is stable. In landslide, it will be more stable, ma'am.
Oh wow!
One of the technology being used in Bhutan.
So the road doesn't get washed away then? You
Yes,
don't have
it holds much firmer.
I see.
Yes, ma'am. There are further more technologies being used in Bhutan, ma'am. Just to highlight, ma'am, there was a bridge in Kane and Chape. Two of the bridges, permanent bridges are there, ma'am. So if you go with the traditional way of making bridges, ma'am, it will take around 1.5 years to get completed. But because of the technology of modular bridge, ma'am, the bridge was completed in like 3 months.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am. Now coming to the equipments, ma'am. So we have this bullet, ma'am.
Right.
So this bullet was used between 1998 to 2021 actually. So if you would see, ma'am, this is a bullet mostly used as a DR duty, dispatcher duty. So you carry the letters here inside this, and you move from one place to another place to deliver the letters. Now coming to Prado, ma'am. Again, ma'am, we are under the grace of their Majesties. So their Majesties are like, you know, in past also they have gifted the land cruiser to the Chief Engineers of Dantak. Currently also one of the Prado is being used by the Chief Engineer, gifted by His Majesty.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's
so
really nice.
Again, this is one of the, this was functional till I think 1994. Was gifted in 1994 actually, and this was functional in 2021. And after this, you know, after degradation also, this was not, after so much of putting extra money, this was not functional, so we have put it in display here, ma'am. And Chief always mentions, ma'am, that he is always grateful to their Majesties to you know, gift that car to Chief Engineer for the use, ma'am. These boards just showcases the history of Indo-Bhutan friendship. The first photo is again the meeting of Prime Minister then with the third Druk Gyalpo.
Yeah. This is an iconic image actually.
Yes, this was after the India-Bhutan Treaty of 1949. The first visit which was done by Pandit Nehru, but after, you know, 10 years, 1958.
Right, so yeah, 1958. It's so interesting because people think that Dantak only builds roads, not realizing that you also built a lot of other infrastructure like the Bhutan Broadcasting, the building of the Bhutan Broadcasting Service.
Ma'am, Paro Airport, ma'am. It was made by Dantak. Yongphula Airport.
Right.
Landing strip was made, you know, made by Dantak, ma'am.
Right.
Devathang Hospital, made by Dantak. Shabse College, which was a school first, made by Dantak.
Right, right.
Yeah, so
spanning across sectors. Like
India House State,
made
by Dantak.
Yes.
Again, one more thing, because I am from Corps of Signals, I look after communication. So the first microwave towers was built by Dantak. Microwave tower was something which you increase the bandwidth. In mountain, we use microwave link just to increase the bandwidth of the internet connection. That setup was done in 1975, done by Dantak.
So, if you're watching this and just wanted to share, because everybody thinks that because it's within the premises of Dantak, that maybe you're not allowed to enter this, but you can. And it's a really nice, I've passed this often and I thought I wouldn't be allowed to come here. So now Captain's cleared that for us. So if you're interested, come here. Captain's office is just up there. So maybe you can be like, yeah, he will see you and he'll come and explain these things. But even if not, there are really nice plaques here that explain what these things are.
Exactly.
Right? And people can take photos here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it is better that we explain them and they come to know what this place is actually about. This is about the equipments which contributed in the development of Bhutan.
Used in the travel from one point to another.
Exactly. And just to showcase that they have contributed, and also about the works done by Dantak is,
right. Thank you so much, Captain. That was really nice. Thank you.
welcome to Jagannathan Hall.
Thank
We
you.
call it our room of history. Dantak's history is showcased here in this room, ma'am.
I see.
So here we have again in two parts, ma'am. First part has the history, the archives of the works of Dantak, ma'am. How the Dantak came, what all works Dantak has done, ma'am. And again at the end you would see the Chief Engineer's gallery and some of the photographs of His Majesty with the Chief Engineers, ma'am. So I would start with the first photograph, ma'am. This is again the photograph of 1958, ma'am.
Wow,
It is for the first time when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru came into Bhutan, ma'am.
Horseback.
It was not from Phunsuling, ma'am. It was from Nathula.
Right.
Because there was that road was not there, ma'am.
Yes.
And during that visit, ma'am, Pandit Nehru has in mind that this road has to be connected. So that thought was conceptualized, ma'am. So BRO came in 1960 and Dantak was sent in 1961.
Oh wow!
As
it was like a priority engagement.
Exactly. There were only 3-4 projects, ma'am. Dantak was one of them. In 1961, the team of Dantak was sent here under the able leadership of Brigadier T.V. Jagannathan, that time Colonel, then promoted to Brigadier.
So this is why it's called Jagannathan Hall.
Exactly, for the chief.
You.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. In the remembrance of Brigadier Jagannathan, this hall is called.
I see.
Yes, ma'am. So you see that Pandit Nehru, ma'am, entering in through Nathula, he came to Thimpu using mule tracks, ma'am. That time mule tracks were there, so he used horses and mules to reach to Thimpu, ma'am. It took him 7 days from Sikkim to reach Thimpu, ma'am.
Wow.
And then Srimati Indira Gandhi, then the Prime Minister of India, she was also accompanying Jawaharlal Nehru. So in 1968, ma'am, when the Phunsuling Thimpu road was made, she as a Prime Minister came to inaugurate the Phunsuling Thimpu road, ma'am. So that photo is very historic and one of the photo that we keep close to us because Dantak came because of that visit only. 1961, ma'am, in April, Dantak came in Bhutan and the officers and the Jawans and the JCOs, they had this kind of, if you see that they are the huts, ma'am. No the permanent structure. It came in Devathang, ma'am, and they were in that structures, ma'am. This photo is again, it makes me proud, ma'am, because you see this. This is the Dantak insignia, ma'am. It was presented to the first chief engineer by His Majesty the Third King.
Oh really?
And
wow.
only in Dantak, ma'am, we have the privilege to wear this on our right shoulder.
Oh wow,
generally,
this I did not know.
Generally, we have only one. But in
so Dantak outside Bhutan doesn't have this, right? So only in Bhutan you wear
only
this?
in Bhutan we. Everybody of Dantak, ma'am, he wears it on right sleeve, ma'am.
Oh nice.
Because His Majesty presented it on 90.
And so that's the photo presenting it, right?
And also just to highlight, ma'am, His Majesty the Third King is also wearing it, ma'am.
Wow, oh nice. That's something new I learned today.
Yes,
I mean, so many things, but this is incredible.
Yes, ma'am. And again, that time, ma'am, the connectivity to the outer world was not there in Bhutan, ma'am. So Dantak also worked to connect Bhutan with the outer world through the exchange, ma'am. So the first call outside Bhutan was taken in 1966.
Oh wow, that's the third king, no? Third king taking the call?
Yes, third king taking the call from Devathang to Rangya in Assam.
Oh wow.
First international call was taken from Dantak exchange, ma'am.
Oh nice.
Then later in next 10 years, 512 number exchange was functional in Bhutan, in Thimpu. But that time, the first call, this is the photo of the first call, chief engineer and some signal officer and
I see. Very nice. I've never seen this photograph.
Yes, ma'am. Again, this photograph shows the construction. The earlier Phunsuling Thimpu was done by Bhutan Engineering Services, BES. Yes. So I know, I have read about it, so I can tell you. So when it was handed over to Dantak, only 33 km of road was constructed. So then it was given to Dantak to give the finishing touch to the road, ma'am. So being in Devathang, Dantak took the construction of Devathang, the Phunsuling Thimpu road, ma'am. Again, just not to forget, ma'am, that Phunsuling Thimpu road was made by the work of Bhutanese people. And in the address of His Majesty, in the inauguration of Phunsuling Thimpu road, he had mentioned that this Phunsuling Thimpu road has been made by the tears and blood of the Bhutanese people. It was in the address of His Majesty. So the role of Bhutanese people is also there, and they have given their tears and blood for the construction. Also, Dantak has given a finishing touch in that road.
So this Jagannathan Hall is open to visitors?
Yes. I am there, ma'am.
Just find you.
Just find me and I will everything. Ma'am, just again, not to mention, ma'am, this is in Bhutan for the people of Bhutan. Everything is, Dantak is like an open book, ma'am. Anything you want information, any briefing, it is our privilege to showcase that we have done this, and every Bhutanese should know that that we are actually working that hard to.
I think it's amazing. If you're watching this or listening to the podcast right now, I think you have to visit the Jagannathan Hall. I mean, there are so many photographs here. We know about the presence of Dantak, but then I think you really feel the personal stories. I think the humanness behind Dantak when you come here, and I think it's worth visiting to find out more. Also about, like, you know, how a relationship began and what really cemented the relationship. So the development journey, I think, between the two countries.
Absolutely. Again, I say that the past is the compass.
Right.
So everybody in present should know the past.
Right.
So it is, you know, some of the photos are that old, you know, 60, 70 years old, you know, that will touch, you know, somehow relate them with the past, ma'am. And just one of the major highlight of last 30 years, I would say, is here. So here there is a, if you see 1995, if you read it, it says the quality of road made by Dantak was that good. So if somebody pointed out there is a pothole in the road, he was awarded with 5 rupees, 5 Newton in 1995. Just to highlight one more thing, probably you can, just for the knowledge, ma'am. So normally what happens when the structure of mountain is tough, it's strongly built. So landslides will not be that much, because you know, once you cut it, it will be stable. Right. But when you see in that Phuntsholing Thimphu road, the mountain is not that hard. It is kind of somewhere in the patch, it is soft. So when the heavy water comes, that I would say, some of the mud stones, they flow with the water on the road. That you know, because of that, there are so many landslides in this road. Right. This monsoon season alone, ma'am, we have cleared 248 landslides, to be precise, 248.
That's like what, in 2 months?
2 months, June, July.
Wow, 248.
248.
Wow. Yeah, it's quite a treacherous
248,
road.
yes. And out of that, I think the data, I think 62% of the slides, which is somewhere around 149, 150, ma'am, it was cleared within 6 hours.
Wow.
Again, some of the appreciations letters from His Majesties. Right. So whatever His Majesty sends us, we keep it as it's our blessing that to have it from them. This is the again the gallery which shows the recent updates, ma'am. So again, to highlight one thing, ma'am. So now we have started to do MOUs with the local vendors.
Yes, I'm seeing.
Yes. So the concept behind is this: to empower the local contractors and the vendors to participate in the bids done by Dantak, so that instead we get the materials from India, local vendors can participate, and we will give the contract to them. It will empower them to grow. Yes, this is the gallery of our chief engineer, starting from Brigadier. Then he had come. He was Colonel T.V. Jagannathan, and later promoted to Brigadier Brigadier T.V. Jagannathan. He was here for the longest duration. Now the tenure is for 2 years only. So that they forged a relation with Bhutan, which is still, you know, that bond of friendship is still there, and you know, we are working that hard to preserve it, and you know, so they are the I would say forefathers of Dantak, who you know worked their sweat off to build a better future.
Thank you for all our roads and the infrastructure in the country.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we're going to be speaking to the Chief of Dantak, Brigadier Jasvinder Singh. So you've been here in Bhutan for over a year. What has your experience been like?
It's been a really, really amazing experience. What I cannot forget throughout my life is the day we landed here, and at Paro International Airport, at the tarmac, the moment we stepped down, my wife was with me, and her first comment was, he took a deep breath and said that, you know, there is something divine about the place.
Wow.
So the journey has been totally like that. All the prayer flags that we put up, all the prayers fluttering, you know, floating in the air, it makes this our kingdom very, very divine place, a very, very satisfying place. And that is why probably we have the highest, one of the highest happiness index in the world.
I'm glad you're enjoying this experience. And so was just telling me before the camera started rolling that it's not easy to come to Bhutan, sir. There's a really rigorous selection process. I was not aware of it until today.
Generally what happens that in India, there are a lot of people who aspire to come to Bhutan to have a very, very wonderful tenure here. And the selection process is a little long, that first a merit is drawn. So your name has to come within that merit of 4 or 5 officers or the men. And thereafter there is an interview which takes place. Depending upon the rank of that individual, the people who are interviewing you, it is, you know, their hierarchy is decided. So it's only after that you've been selected through that interview that you get in this lifetime opportunity of coming and serving in Bhutan and enjoying the, you know, full tenure lifetime experience, I would say.
So nice to hear you saying all of this. So the DANTAK relationship with Bhutan as well. I mean, we had a tour of the museum. It's just so amazing because, like I was saying, DANTAK is so visible because of our roads, right? Synonymous with the roads. I mean, there's so much other infrastructure support that you've provided to Bhutan. But you're still invisible. Like for me to meet the people from DANTAK today, like Sir yourself, Captain Pratik, Lieutenant Colonel Saxena, it's a very different experience than to know that story as well. So DANTAK's relationship with Bhutan, it's been 6 decades. Congratulations on your Diamond Jubilee as well, sir. Have you seen it evolve? Has it changed over the time, or have you stayed true to what Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru envisioned DANTAK would be?
See, for any relationship to go on, it has to evolve with time. And the relationship that India and Bhutan enjoy, DANTAK is just a tool for that, a very, very small component in that. I think this kind of friendship, this kind of mutual trust, this kind of empathy for each other, and this kind, this much of go with both the countries to ensure that both are developing together. This is unique in the world, nowhere to be paralleled. And DANTAK came here 6 decades back, and it came here to do service, to serve the people of Bhutan as per the vision of their Majesties. And I rather feel happy that when I hear that DANTAK is generally felt but not seen or heard, because that is what we would like to be while functioning in Bhutan for the betterment each and every day. Yes, relationships, the modus of work, the methodology, it has to evolve with time. There was a time when India had got independent, sometime later Bhutan opened up, and we started developing. That time a basic road infrastructure was also a luxury. Now it is a necessity, even an airstrip is a necessity. So now we have to look at furthering this and taking it and absorbing the new technologies. So we, along with the Department of Surface Transport, are now headed towards that, of getting in better technologies, new technologies, and making the overall progress visible, not by our name, but
by the product,
by the product,
by the service. I see. That's so wonderful to hear, sir. So some of the ongoing projects we did get to see. I mean, briefly at the Jagannathan Hall. If you could tell us a little bit more about the projects that you have ongoing at this point, sir.
Presently, we've got some road construction and even a industrial park development project going on, mainly in east. In west, we've got one. Otherwise, our main focus is on, especially during presently monsoons, is to keep the highways open.
Right.
You keep hearing in the media and otherwise also, on the social media, that so many landslides occurring, which is a very, very common phenomena in the entire Himalayan region.
Right. And you're so familiar with this, with your experience in Ladakh and all that, sir.
Yes, I've had some experience. So that is the main focus. Projects per se in West Bhutan, one, and in East Bhutan, about 4 of them new projects going on. Again, new connectivities.
And new technology, I was really impressed. I found out something about GeoWeb technology this morning, and you're applying that here, right, sir?
Yes, yes.
And also, like you're mentioning, how Bhutan was in a way a priority for India. The modular bridges, I think the first time they were made in Bhutan, right, sir, by DANTAK, is that correct?
Yes, yes. There is a new bridge which has come up. Generally in mountains, what happens is, for the speed of construction, where the span of the river is not very vast, we go in for Bailey bridges. It's an old tested bridge, but only drawback that Bailey bridge had was that it was single lane, and the maximum load class it can sustain is class 40, and if the span is more, so the load classification comes down further to 12 ton or 18 tons. But this new bridge has come, which is double lane, and life is more than double of that of Bailey bridge.
Oh wow.
And the load classification is also, it can take up to 70 metric ton load.
Oh wow.
So, and 2 of such projects we have just applied just next to Ha, on the road which comes down towards Wangchu river. The reason why we adopted this technology, we went to the Department of Surface Transport with the proposal, and they were more than happy to apply it in Bhutan. is because if had he gone for a normal RCC bridge, it would have taken maybe 1.5 to 2 years. So for 2 seasons, the locals would have had to, you know, go via the diversion, because the old existing single lane bridge had to be demolished and a new one made. So whereas this particular bridges, within 3 months we've been able to complete both the bridges, as compared to 1.5 and 2 years.
Both the bridges.
So that is the latest technology, wherein the speed of construction is much high, and that is how you are able to give much higher user satisfaction to the commuter, because he will not get troubled, he or she will not get troubled for that long.
Right, sir. Congratulations on this new technology. I mean, of course, we're the beneficiaries. Thank you. But so what have been, I'm sure, along with all of these high points, there must have been challenges along the road as well. If you could share some of the challenges that DANTAK has experienced over the 6 decades that you've been in Bhutan.
See, challenges, especially working in mountains, are numerous. But you know, there is a quote written over there: "We'll either find a way or make one."
Oh wow, I missed that.
So that is how you overcome the challenges. You either find a way through that challenge.
I'm going to make that my life quote.
Thank you, thank you. This is from our Director General Border Roads,
Oh wow,
Lieutenant Rajiv Chaudhary. He's given that quote.
Oh wow.
And this is what motto that we adopt.
Right.
Challenges will be there. Reminds me of a very old incident which I recently came to know. Met one particular gentleman from East Bhutan. He's worked with DANTAK as part of DANTAK as a worker, and his experience was that he used to tie rope on his waist, and he used to be hung from top of the mountain down and would do the drilling, fill up the explosive, light the safety fuse, and then they would have just about 2 minutes to pull him up.
Oh my gosh.
So from those kinds of challenging conditions to today, wherein we've got new technology, we've got latest of the equipment here to help us. So the challenges have also modified. Now the challenges are like the heavier, the better the technology, so you get better vehicles in Bhutan. So vehicles with very high load classification are plying on the roads. So your roads have to be of that classification, your bridges have to be better, you have to be more up and about maintaining these. And since you know, about 2 decades back, going to functioning, I believe, was a day-long task.
Yes, yes.
Nowadays, many of us start in the morning, go
Come
finish
back
your
in the
business,
evening.
and come back in the
That's
evening.
true, sir. Yes.
So when the speed is fast, you can't have traffic getting halted for long. So when you have these landslides, you have to clear them fast.
Right.
So challenges are there, but again, what I would say, we'll either find a way or make one.
I'm going to remember this for a very long time. I think for life, this is going to stay with me, sir. Something a lot of people don't know about, and I thought it was so sobering for me, was the number of lives that have been given in the construction of infrastructure in Bhutan. So if you could share this, because you have 2 memorials in Bhutan, right, sir?
Yes, yes. When initially DANTAK started work in Bhutan in 1961, the casualty rate was very high. See, the task of DANTAK or any construction agency in mountains is very challenging, and one is working in terrain which is totally unsettled and conditions which are not very conducive to the safety. So we do have casualties, and we have this philosophy that those who've fallen are to be remembered because they have given the supreme sacrifice for the betterment of the nation, for the comfort of the next generations which are going to come.
Right, sir.
So with that spirit, we had constructed a memorial in Devthang. Initially, headquarter project DANTAK had come in Devthang in 1961. So this memorial is in the memory of those who have laid down their lives. Thereafter, headquarter DANTAK shifted to Thimphu, and the task force from here shifted to Phunchling. So when we came here in 1907, after that we made another memorial here, which you would have seen.
Yes, as we enter.
As you entered. So approximately about 1200 people have laid down their lives. These include the uniformed persons of Project DANTAK, who are from army or from GREF. These also include those workers of Bhutan who had worked with us, and it also includes those workers who are foreign, who come from India. And our endeavor is to make a wall in their name and put each and every name there.
Oh wow.
So very soon we are going to do that. And on every big occasion, when we have the raising day of Dantak, or we have a holy day, we go and lay a wreath there in their memory and thank them for their service and for their supreme sacrifice.
Indeed. Thank you so much for sharing that, sir. I hope you enjoyed that journey with me. I thought it was fantastic. I learned so much on this episode. I hope that you learned just as much. I'm sure some of you may know more than me, but even in my career as a journalist, I didn't know this much about DANTAK's relationship with Bhutan, and it was a really enjoyable experience for me. I hope you enjoyed this as well. I'm so happy that I could bring you this episode. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. We're going to be featuring Imtrat in the next episode, so do watch this space, listen to the podcast. We're going to bring you even more fun stuff. Thank you so much. This is Namgizam signing out.